Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video about helicopters. This is technically the part 2 to the previous helicopter video because that was dealing with modded helicopters. And now with this we're dealing with vanilla helicopters, and you'll see there is an interesting range we've got here. So the first one we're actually going to go into is this, which is mine. This is the I've quite forgotten the name of this one. Let's see, what did I call this one? I called this one the Cyclone. That's it. The Cyclone class attack helicopter, it's a large grid. It was my attempt to do a kind of small grid gone, like a large grid gone small helicopter design. So we've just got big rotor at the back, just very simple side rotors, thrusters underneath. It was me trying to just basically use the new atmospheric thruster box, then I kind of went a bit mental. But yeah, inside wise, it's literally just designed for, you know, you've got marine drops, I've used hangar doors for the actual bay doors here to drop out. You've got cargo storage here and pilot up front. It's a bit slow, it's a bit sluggish, but it kind of gets the job done for a heli, and you can use it for some limited cargo transport as well, considering you've got connectors here, you've got connectors on the bottom, you've got an underslung gun there. Connector, yeah, there's a connector. But overall, this is something you can kind of make it be effective. Is this all? I think it's mostly light armor as well, so it is kind of a bit of a paper mache ship. But now, dispensing the large grid aside, we're going to go on to this. Now this, a lot of you military enthusiasts will recognize, and in fact, I'm just going to give a little fly round just because this thing is absolutely beautiful, and this is the King Stallion, and you can probably guess who built this. Yep, it is in fact Hunter. So, I think the only mods that Hunter actually put on this were the increased batteries, because the whole thing draws an insane amount of power. But yeah, you can see how well he's gone with the detail. Oh, I think the window missing that. I feel like he maybe the modded blocks for the windows, but yeah. This can feasibly function in vanilla. It just doesn't have a lot of power, but I mean, you've got the full drop bay, you've got the ramp, you've got landing pads here so you can actually secure a vehicle. And, but yeah, if we actually go into this and have a look, this is how it works. It's literally all thrust. Oh, don't turn dampeners off. It's literally just all thrusters underneath here. And that's about it. And then you can see there's thrusters on the top, there and there. And he's concealed, I believe he's concealed thrusters inside those engine pods there. You see where they're little glowing yellow? That's the forward thrust. And same for the rear thrusters as well. So he's done a really good job at concealing most of the thrusters, which I think is absolutely fabulous. And the rotors as well I want to highlight because they look absolutely amazing. But yeah. So this is, I think, one of Hunter's biggest build, because, I mean, it is based on the second biggest helicopter in the world, you know, the King Stallion, with, I think, the biggest being the Mi-26, I think. But, yeah, so if we just turn this on, and this seat or that seat that does the rotors, maybe it's in a group. Let's find the rotors. Propellers. I think this is it. Rotor lock off. There we go. I think, yeah, Hunter turns the rotors off. I think doesn't actually use them. I think they're more of a companion piece than an actual like practical thing, because it kind of does this with the camera. Yeah, it kind of makes the camera judder a bit, which is not exactly what you want, is it? Okay, that's making me feel a bit thick now, if I'm honest, so I'm just going to quickly turn those off and let them cycle down. Oh, they're taking a while. Okay, we've stuck a rotor lock on them. Yeah, they are slowly coming down. But yeah, let's land this. Anyway, as the rotors are one of the more complicated bits, that's probably what we're going to start with first. So if we come over here, you'll notice we have actually spaced out everything just because it's so much bigger. But all we're going to do is we're just going to very simply start with the rotor. So it's, you know, rotor. Oh, we'll probably need a battery as well. Let's clear this. We just need a battery and a control panel. Those are two things I literally forgot. Battery and a control panel. That's so we can configure the rotor later. But yeah, all you really do is something like this. We are using light armor just because the Skyblade, because of the Skyblade performance of the actual helicopter blades are so good, we can get away with using heavy armor. For vanilla stuff, we can't really. So it's generally best to kind of use light armor just because of the thruster limitations. There we are. So you kind of do the base and then what to do one block out and then go straight into the rotors. So that's what we'll do as well. So this on there, and then we literally do this all the way out. We'll do. I don't know how many hunters have actually done. How big are hunters? Because we probably want to go significantly smaller. He's done like 30 blocks out. Yeah, we'll stick at 15 because I think that's what we've originally done. There we are. What was it? 15, I think. And then, interestingly, if you look at the end, you kind of see how Hunter's done it. It's literally these blades pointing this way. So this is where mirror mode is not actually going to help us. So I think we'll actually quickly turn mirror mode off. And we simply do this, there. We do this. Oh, whoops, I've gone too far there. There. Because we want them to spin essentially this way. Because these are going to be the front. And then all we have to do is just do the smaller ones on the back. And that's literally all the rotors done. And it's literally, the rotor blade is that simple. I mean, all we have to do is just literally just stick some paint on it as well, and we can just completely finish it, but we can, you know, save that to the end. So there we are. You see, literally, that's just all the rotors done in exactly the same way as this. Literally, light armor slope, half block, and this. Interestingly, what Hunter's done here to make them look a lot more kind of circular is he's put, these are, I believe these are wheel arches. Yeah, they are. However, I don't fully think we need those. I think we can literally just get away with just sticking essentially what is this plate on the top. And maybe just doing a little bit of detail with scaffold could just work quite well. If we can put maybe a scaffold across the front here, maybe. I feel like that could work quite well. And there we are. I quite like that. That immediately looks better. And as well as that, we can also do these blocks like this. Because now that won't even affect the spinning, and it kind of reinforces it. And now we can literally just have that intersect with the helicopter. So if the thing is though, the important thing is we want it to be turning to the left. So yeah, we need to basically turn the rotor on. Right. We'll copy the braking torque across. Ooh. Control click. There we are. And then velocity, we'll just set it at 2. Well, maybe we want a bit higher. Because we want it to actually... Oh, fuck it. Let's just go even higher. Okay, 30 RPM. Let's set it there. There we are. That kind of works. It's spinning in the right direction. Kind of looks like a helicopter blade. Lovely. Oh, I'll say the only thing is the blades do look a little on the thick side. Okay. There we are. So there is one way to kind of solve that, and that is literally you can do... I will just build it off the front just beforehand, and that is instead of doing it like that, you can literally do helicopter blade like that instead, and just imagine that's not there. There we are. Oh. Yeah, you can literally do blades in a thinner kind of style like this. The trouble is, it almost feels a bit too angled, so I don't kind of like that. Oh, we can probably delete that. That'd be lovely. Yeah, there we are. Oh, there's the problem with taking mirror mode off. There we are. Fabulous. But now, all you have to do is basically figure out how you merge this rotor blade into the rest of the craft. I mean, Hunter literally haven't really worried too much about that. He's literally gone straight into it. We, on the other hand, are going to have a little bit more of a worry. Especially since I believe what Hunter's done is Hunter's now actually worried about the... Okay. Now, what you can do is you can just have built the base on top of it. So you could have done something like, you know, this. Edit the rotor offsite and build it off here and have this be the sort of fuselage. We haven't done that. We've elected to go something like that. That way is generally just better though, because that way can be better because you reinforce the rotor a little more. It equally depends a lot on your building style and your building preferences. If we go to the rotor though, we can up the displacement a little more in order to do this, because what you can do here is you can do light armor around the actual rotor point, like so. Then do corner pieces like this. There we are. And then you can do like a half block approach like this all the way round, essentially. So that's probably what we're going to do. We're going to take this off and just do mirror mode. Okay, let's give it another spin and see how well that works. Yeah, you see, perfect. And of course, we can now edit this rate at displacement to bring it down if we need to. So in fact, if we just Okay, yeah, it stopped spinning. So if we leave the row displacement at 8, that, yeah, you see that's basically sitting on the top of here and is spinning around perfectly. And now works completely fine in the same way that that does. However, I do like to give it like an extra millimeter above fine, just as safety. Oh. 9mm, there we are. Okay, off and rotor lock. There we are. Now, all we have to do now is go from the tail. Now, we're probably going to go a little bit more traditional in the way of a tail, in the same way that Hunter has kind of gone with his. But we'll see where we end up. And also, we are going to build on similar... We are going to build on similar kind of engine pods here to Hunter, but we're going to massively change around how they work. But, as well, to give you an idea of how Hunter actually does it, we are just going to take basically the top panel off and show you what's inside. What Hunter's done is he's actually rigged up an atmospheric thruster at the back, but he's also rigged up a basically thruster system in here. So that is where the main speed of the actual aircraft comes from. We are going to do something slightly similar, but also slightly different. But now we're going to crack on and build out the actual tail. Right, so what we're going to quickly do here is we're actually just going to install the rotor blade. So we're literally just going to do that, like so. And the way you can see that Hunter's done it here is, so he doesn't actually go through, what he's done is he's actually done a little kind of sticky out bit there. So we're actually probably going to do the same, but we're just going to quickly remember to disable mirror mode. There we are. So we'll just do this. Place it on there. That's the wrong block. There we are. Still the wrong block. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we are. Do this. All the way round. Like so. And then just simple block on. And what are the blocks again Hunter used? Oh yeah, literally you see, it's interesting there because what Hunter did was actually quite clever. He used the half blocks to get himself some extra snap points. So it does that. Now, that's quite cool, but I don't think we need to go that far. I think we'll literally just do... Oh, I see why Hunter did that. Okay. How are we going to do this? I think the best way to actually do this is we're going to do a 2-rotor one. Because we want to be a little bit different. So I think we're just going to do something like this. And then we'll just do something like that. And then we'll go underneath here and do this. And then we'll do, hang on, that's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. It did 4 there. There we are. That looks a bit weird, if I'm honest. Like, I don't hate it. I just think it looks kind of odd. You know what? We'll go with that for now. If we want to change it, we want to change it. But anyway, we're just going to continue the rest of the build. Okay, for now I think what we're going to do is we're just going to build out the frame a bit more. So I think we're just going to go quite almost wide. If we just go out like this and out like this. Oh, that. And we want to go like this, and then we almost want to think stop at this point almost. And then we still need to do the top kind of thing. But we're basically going to flesh out this back part here and then kind of sort out how the top's going to be. Because the way it's going to work is going to look a little interesting. I mean, I think I'm going to take that off and make the whole thing a little thinner. Oh, no, but I can't do that because that'll mess up this, actually. Okay, yeah. You know what, we're going to do a bit of interesting things, I think. But yeah, we'll kind of check in when we've done that. there we are. We've done the whole back of the craft, basically, apart from, like, this undersection, which, to be fair, will literally be half a repeat of this. But now we've got these little engine areas, what we can feasibly do is we can actually, into the top, we can mount thrusters. So what we can do is we can just literally, I'd say, maybe take off the middle bit, and we can get the thrusters. Thruster, the flat atmospheric. What is it? Flat atmospheric. We can literally have thrusters there, just kind of concealed in. We can do almost the same under here. And then what we can do is we can, I reckon we mount big atmospheric thrusters into here. Ooh, they're a touch. They almost need to be one over. There, if we do that, then what we can do is we can place a block there to cover that up. And we can place 2 blocks here. To be fair, we'll almost need a one which goes like halfway into a slant to kind of line up with that one. There we go, perfect. Look at that. And then what we can do is we can then do a rounded section here. That way, that looks quite natural, but conceals thrusters in quite a nice, aesthetically pleasing way. In the same way that these kind of work. As well as that, we can now mess with some of this a bit more, because we've had this kind of merge into the top and kind of had it almost as an adjoining bit, which I don't typically tend to do. I typically do the, like, kind of make this a little more higher up, like it would be on normal craft. But what we can do here is we can actually just take little sections out and use the little insets to have further atmospheric thrusters here. That will give us actually a bit of side thrust. As well as that, we can also work in some of them on the top here as well. We can probably have a little thruster bank on the top of here, because as the blades spin, they shouldn't get too damaged. And we can essentially just do that. Rig some blocks underneath. Rig some blocks on the side. Like so. There we are. And then we can continue this push downwards. Equally as well, what we can do is, because this bottom's just going to be relatively chill, all we can do is we can just basically take out this kind of section. And we can mount some of these. I reckon do them in with like a little gap in between just to protect them a bit more. Like so. And there we are. That'll give a bit of up thrust there. Won't need as many of the King Stallion, obviously, but yeah, we're now gonna finish off this bit, and we'll probably mount some. See if we can mount some batteries in here, because if we can spell batteries, there we are. Because there'll be a good place to. We can probably most likely cover them up, especially if we just take out. We just take out these sections. What we can do is we can mount batteries inside here and then completely cover them up as we go along here. So the one thing I will say is we have to be careful, because batteries are heavy. They're like one of the main reasons why. In fact, actually, we should probably move it back one just so we can get a clean, smooth line from this. But yeah. Bear in mind, batteries are heavy, and it's not one of the main reasons why you want to power this with reactors, but you definitely want to just have big batteries in. Right, so now we're just going to continue with the bottom of the craft. Okay, so we've finished the back. There is just a slight problem, and that is the fact the helicopter is quite thin. It's been... So that is, you know, a slight issue, I suppose. If we quickly just fill in the rest of this, though. You see as well, that's going to cut these off. So what we want to do is we just want to probably do something like this, then this, then that. And then we almost want to do something like have a bit of protrusion out. I guess, or we try and make it kind of... If we use this section to almost go wider again, that's probably what we should do. And just have a little kind of almost cut off here, but make it wider here. That's kind of what I feel we should do. So if we go for making it wider... Yeah, almost like that. Here we go. Where's the... There we are. So if we almost go for just as well, making it kind of wider like this. And then that gives us this to work with, where we can mount a door on. And if we go that across there, solid here and here, then that gives us, that will go into there quite nicely. We can rig another part into there. Oh, it's almost like we want to have that a bit further out though. Actually, if we do that... Okay, this is where it can kind of get a bit complicated. Oh, let's take that off, actually. We won't need that, because I'll have the cockpit go from there. And then we take this off. There we go. And then what we can do is we can have like a... we can do some decent work on the ceiling. Let's just paint that in. I suppose the most logical thing to do would actually just be to extend this a little longer. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll extend this longer. We'll extend this whole cabin section out. And yeah, we'll see if we can workshop this maybe. Or maybe just take these out. I feel like taking these out would probably be the smarter idea. Yeah. Okay, what we'll do is we'll kind of workshop the rest of this and go on from there, basically. Right, so what we've done is we've managed to kind of workshop this a bit. We've managed to put the doors in and now worked on this. So the inside is going to be a little cramped, but I feel like we can make it work. We've extended these off, and I think at this point we can possibly just round these off now. I feel like they're pretty done. Although, what I may do is I may have them go like one out, I think, before we end them off. But also try and like keep them almost separated from the main fuselage, as in do something like this and then use half blocks, like almost like this, to basically keep them like actually physically separated, or doing something like that and like that to almost separate them off, and then maybe doing this. I quite like that effect. Kind of, this almost kind of breaks a little though, but oh well. Interior wise, it's just going to be dead simple. We're going to put a survival kit in, because we'll want a spawn point. Oh, okay, the mirrors mode fucking with it a little bit. Is that gonna work? Upside down. Ah, that's why I hate mirror mode when it comes to certain blocks. There we go. Right. So, mirror mode there. Put these blocks in like that. All these all the way in across the top. And then I think we'll do something like just this, maybe, just across the to the ceiling. And then what I think we'll do is I think we'll just wire a small reactor into the survival kit there. And then just do this. So I've at least got some sort of power there. And then what we can do... Actually, I don't quite like that. I feel like we should maybe do something more like that. Yeah, I like that. And then we can do like a weapon... Like a weapon rack? Or it's like a... Like, I'm thinking a tiny variant. Yeah, there we go. We can do a... Is that the right way up? I think that's the right way up. We can do a little weapon rack there. There I've got... Oh. These doors opening like so. And then what we can do is we can... I think line the side with benches. But yeah, now we're just going to carry on and go like into the... Eventually into the cockpit variant. I think we're going to have a similar cockpit design to the Super Stallion. Anyway, let's crack on. And here we are. I think we're mostly done. So, a couple of things. The cockpit, I think, does look a bit messy. It looks like, you know, nowhere near as good. I mean, I think it looks okay. I will say a couple of things. I think the door's too far back. I think this is too far back. But I mean, if you kind of look back at it from a distance, it looks solidly okay. So all that's really left is the landing gear. I will say though, if we pop inside, there are a couple more bits to kind of tidy up on the inside a bit. And then I think this gives basically enough kind of contrast. Oh, wait, we've gotten... I think take these out and swap these for those. If we go outside... Yeah, nothing's too much of an effect on the outside. Okay, good. We did repaint this, though. It's like the fact that I feel this gives, like, enough kind of... Bad hand. How do the glazed doors look from the outside? Yeah, I think they look a lot better because they help to kind of differentiate it. Because a lot of just improving the look of the helicopter is just choice of colour. Now, I will say the cockpit is a little more spacious than I'd usually do. And does that go straight to the outside? Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay, so we can do some detailing. There we are. So now as well, we've got back windows out here. A commander can come and basically stand here and like help look out the windows. We look out here. We've got left. We can see to the right. Those are the windows that are the wrong way around. Okay, we'll go out and fix those. And also I can kind of show you what I've done with those. So here, the windows, yeah, are actually kind of inverted and placed on almost on the outside. Oh, that's a space block. So we place them like that. No, that right. So we don't want left inverted. Left. Okay, let's grab the normal side left and see if we can actually physically place that properly. Yeah, that looks right. That looks right. Okay, so if we pop inside. Okay, I think that looks quite good. So yeah, and then we walk into here and we've got same sort of thing. Got the expanded ceiling so it looks a bit better. It doesn't feel that cramped. This looks okay. So what we'll also want to do is put some thrusters directly underneath it. And we'll also want to work some basically thrusters into like the underneath. Let's actually take out... Yeah. Because this is the problem, you see. We've got it whole thing as one block. So what we'll want to do is we'll want to actually half block the heck out of this. Because then we can mount ones underneath. Ran the builder, can he fix it? Ran the builder, yes he can. You, the Americans, looking extremely confused at that. Right, I've just noticed as well, that looks a bit off, so we'll just repaint that. There we go. Okay, perfect. For now, what I want to do is we want to check actually how much this kind of weighs. It weighs nearly 60,000 kilograms. Okay. It's going to be interesting to see if it can fly. Actually, hang on, that's including that battery. Let's take that battery off. So it's closer to 56. I generally go for like more than that though, purely because, you know, you don't know what else you're going to be carrying as well. Whether you're going to put in weapons or storage or whatever. Right, after a quick perusal at a thruster calculator, it says that we'll need 9 to actually move it. And that's 9 of these atmospheric thrusters. So we already have 4 here. So I reckon if we can literally just... What we'll do is we'll do... And how has Hunter done landing gear? That's what I want to know quickly. He's literally done wheels for his. Which, to be fair, is fair enough. Can I do landing gear, which I can disguise as wheels, but I've actually got landing plates? I reckon I could. I reckon I could. Okay, the thing is, that actually looks quite good. I'm kind of annoyed that that actually looks really good. So we almost want to do something now, which goes like that. The trouble is they're light armor. So I feel like almost making them out of heavy would probably be a good idea, just because... Yeah. But that I'm kind of impressed at how good that looks. So we almost want to do the same thing at the back here then. Just the fact is what we could do is we could just do a double wheel to make it look a bit better and give the back a little more stability. Okay, that actually looks pretty damn good. So the next thing to do is just put a bunch of thrusters in here. So if we get the flat atmospheric. I kind of prefer to use the small one because if you're going to get shot at, it means, you know, Oh, that. Okay, that's being a bit off, right? Okay, the fact it's thinking is not a great sign. Oh, let's get out from under. Oh gosh, it's tipping. No, no, no. That could have been the end of that. I haven't blueprinted it yet. Okay, now it is actually floating. Okay. Let's fly in and actually have a little go. Okay. Right, it does go down and it is a little wonky. And that's because that bottom strut is a bit funny. Okay. Because it's not low enough. To be fair, I don't really mind that. Okay, does it go up? Okay, it kind of does. I've not put reverse on it. I've not put reverse on it. Shit, that's rather typical of me to do that. Okay, if we take this out and we put some thrusters in there, I think that'll look okay. I'll prefer to break up the form a bit, because as well, if something looks too smooth or too perfect, like it almost seems unnatural. I didn't put gyros. I didn't put gyros on it. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay, anyway, gyro-wise, all we have to do is put like a couple of gyros behind here, and we've essentially solved our gyroscope problem. Grey block. Oh, I clicked the wrong grey block there. There we are. There we are. It can turn now. Perfect. So the only problem I think now is give it a little more in terms of upthrust. So what we'll do is we'll just, I think, take out here, add a couple more on. Oh, we need the flat thrusters back again. I think I moved them when I did the gyro. Yeah. Oh, we'll need them. Oh, crap. There we are. We'll need them like that. There we are. So we've got some more on the back here. We've only got 2. Yeah, we've only got 4 of those thrusters. So I reckon what we can do is we can probably take out a small section here and put another set in. Atmos. There we go. So we can put some more in like that. And that should improve the speed. And what was the other problem? Oh yes, side thrust. Well, we can easily fix that. We'll just bolt another 3 of these in. Like so. And then we'll just replace this bit. Oh, we need the weldless armor back. And to be fair, yeah, no, that's fine. To be fair, yeah, I think that works because it also serves to break up the structure a little more. Okay. So now, I mean, I almost want to just put... No, you know what, we'll leave that. Okay. So now, that gives us a little more height. A lot more speed. Side to side is still poor. But to be fair, it can turn quite quickly. The only trouble we're running into now is power. And the fact the roll is a bit terrible, but then you're also going to run into that problem in a lot of what you do with building helicopters, in the sense because if you have big rotors, that kind of does affect the roll a little bit. So, yeah. Honestly, all in all, I don't think this is too bad, because we can definitely workshop a little more of this. turn these back on. So I reckon that's probably fixed the power problem. Because with the reactors as well, at max output, like, theoretically it should be fine. But yeah, genuinely, I'm relatively happy with this. The one thing I will say, I think the front could do with a lot more work. I think just a little bit of greebling and a little bit of detailing there could work. I really like the way I've done the wheels. Yeah, or equally just swapping the wheels out for just genuine landing strips could be quite cool. Honestly though, I love the way the wheels look. I'm quite happy with the way this has gone. The rotor looks great. It could just be a little far forward in my opinion, but I mean, honestly, like, you have a look at that. That's not a first stab at it, because as well, this is my genuine first attempt at trying to make a small grid helicopter without Skyblade and without, like, you know, having to worry too much. This is my first small grid vanilla helicopter, because my first, you know, large grid one is that. Yeah. Anyway, if anyone have a suggestion for a name for this, just drop it in the comments. I am going to just blueprint this. We are going to have another vehicle building video coming up very shortly. So whoever puts the best name in the comments, we'll call the helicopter that, and we'll check in with the helicopter in the next video. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Have a good day and good night!